Welcome to this special edition of Clot Chat, where we discuss the challenges and issues faced by female researchers as part of our Women in STEM initiative.
One of the other topics that I think Ilaria suggested was, kind of what we consider to be fair representation. It's always a tricky question, isn't it? Because when you get to kind of conference planning and that sort of thing. So when Paul, Carly and I were putting together the CR virtual symposium, we were adamant that we wanted 50% male and female speakers on the day. And in no way did the science suffer as a result of that. But, you kind of hear these arguments from people saying like, oh, well, it's not fair if you put a quota in or something. And it's like, I feel like when you're planning an event or something, that's the one time that you can curate and kind of choose what you want to represent as a society, and I think maybe kind of, I don't know if 50-50 is the right split, but, it seems like a good place to start.
Because if you say, oh, 50-50, a lot of people tend to say, oh yeah, that's fine, that's fair. Then is it fair if you're, so the question, this is just a question I'm posing, I'm not saying it, but is it fair if you're actually 70-30? Is 50-50 then fair? So that's the question. Should it be 50-50 because we should be aiming for equal representation, or is it fair to reflect the balance?
I think at the very least, we should be reflecting what the makeup of our society is, at the very least. But there is also an argument, if you want to push the boundaries a bit and gradually nudge it towards being equal representation, that I don't see any problem with that at all. But I think the area in which we absolutely have control over is who we invite to come and give the sort of prestigious talks and or run events or host things. Those are opportunities to make sure that we really do make sure it's 50-50. But we also have to be aware of other considerations with regard to inclusion and equality and that sort of thing. But I think it's a good starting point to, at the very least, reflect the makeup of the society.
It's hard. I've been involved in situations where you're trying to make that 50-50 as much as you possibly can, or at least that. But you do find that women turn down invitations more readily than men, and that harks back to maybe challenges in terms of the amount of time that they've got available to spend on things, but also they may have issues with being able to travel. If it's an overseas conference, they don't have, mechanisms in place for childcare, etc. So that can be a challenge that we have to try and find a workable solution to when trying to invite people. I know, obviously, if we're talking about the Platelet Society, UK Platelet Society, we're talking probably about a UK event, but just more widespread, that is another issue.
The point being that everybody feels they have an opportunity to contribute, not that you can't contribute because you don't fall into the 50% that gets chosen for a panel, for example. It's that actually, if you have a voice, if you have an opinion, that there is a route for that to be aired and the knowledge that it will be listened to. We're not saying everybody's opinion gets put into practice, but the fact that there's a mechanism by which people can air something and it can be listened to is important.
I don't really know where this fits in, but I know with a few kind of initiatives that we've done with the Platelet Society, actually trying to get men more involved is an issue. So like with the working group, over 90% of the applications that we received were from women. And that's amazing, but also should the burden of improving the society fall entirely to the women that apply to work on these committees? I mean, ultimately they'll get more out of it because there'll be different skills on there to go onto CVs. But even
this might link into something at our university that was said when they ran an event for female promotions, and they noted that a lot of men, and I don't know how true this is what they said they noted, a lot of men focus solely on their own career and propelling themselves forward, whereas women spend a lot of time helping other people and working in a more collegiate fashion to kind of promote not just the females, but to promote other people.
Yeah, I was just pretty much agreeing with you, Sarah, that I also do like STEM ambassador stuff, and that is predominantly women doing that, and it's a lot of outreach stuff, and it's mainly women. I went to one event last year and it was only women, and it wasn't advertised as that, but they were the only people that put themselves forward. So I think, I don't know how you fix that, but it seems to be one of those things. I don't know how you would then encourage more men to get involved in that, and so it is an equal representation. I'm not really sure, but it's something that I've noticed as well.
Well, I guess it's acknowledge, like our university is trying to do, acknowledging that as a positive and then rewarding it, so that then men would see that it's worthwhile doing, and then the women that do it also get acknowledged for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's trying to actively encourage that.
Yeah, it's almost, you kind of want to flip the scales almost and say, well, you've had it, it's been for you for this many years and you've had everything in your favor, but now you're not doing this stuff. So now the women are going to overtake for a while until everyone evens out and everyone starts engaging. But yeah, you're right. It's making sure that people are acknowledged for it. And the fact that if you see it on a CV and you see that someone has, actively engaged in citizenship, really, that's what they're doing. They're doing something outside of their own thing, that's acknowledged over someone who hasn't.
And I completely agree with that. I think you need to be really careful to make sure that, I guess if it's something that people really enjoy doing and it's something that's of value, then it should be rewarded and not seen as a sort of option that those who were really serious about their careers wouldn't bother wasting their time doing, and so it's re-evaluating what's important, particularly with regard to sort of some of the generic skills around career development. Yeah, I know. So the thing you need to be really careful of with this, though, and I could see this happened in my own department a few years ago, where, well, imagine the scenario. Carly starts a new lectureship in my department, and we want to give her all the opportunities that possibly she can, and up comes this opportunity to represent the school at some big international something or other. So off goes Carly to do that. Oh, and then the Athena Swan application needs doing, and she's a woman, so she knows all about these things. So give that to Carly as well. And before you know it, you're rewarding the person that you're supposed to be promoting with all the really crap jobs that are actually probably fairly thankless, that have to happen at some level. Do you see what I mean? So there's like a delicate balance here of making sure you're not almost overcompensating by pushing someone forward for the things that actually are not necessarily the things that are in their best interests. Does that make sense?